She never knew the man who left her the cottage. But he knew everything about her. The letters arrived without stamps, the handwriting familiar in a way that made her skin crawl. Claire Bennett had lived her whole life believing she was alone, until the past came looking. Please hit that like button and subscribe. I'd love to know what country you're listening from. Drop a comment below. Please enjoy the listen. Claire Bennett had never heard of Thomas Hale until the day he died. The letter arrived on a Tuesday, tucked between a grocery flyer and a bank statement. It was handwritten, addressed to her in looping cursive she didn't recognize. No return address. No stamp. Just her name. Inside, a single page. Claire, I've left you the cottage. You'll find what you need inside. Thomas. She stared at it for a long time. The name meant nothing. The handwriting meant less. But the message, it felt personal. Like someone had been watching her. Like someone new. She called the lawyer listed at the bottom of the page. His voice was clipped, professional. Yes, Miss Bennett. Mr. Hale named you sole beneficiary. The property is in Seabrook, Maine. Keys are enclosed. Claire blinked. I don't know him. The lawyer paused. He knew you. She didn't sleep that night. Her mother was no help, distant as always, her voice brittle over the phone. Don't go, she said. It's not yours. Claire asked, who was he? Her mother hung up. 3 days later, Claire drove north. The cottage sat at the edge of a cliff, overlooking the Atlantic. Weathered shingles, salt-stained windows, a porch that creaked with every step. The key fit perfectly. Inside, the air smelled like cedar and dust. Books lined the walls. A fireplace sat cold and unused. On the mantel, a photograph. Claire picked it up. It showed a woman holding a baby. The woman's face was turned away. The baby's face was hers. She dropped the frame. In the bedroom, she found more photographs. All of her. As a child. As a teenager. At her college graduation. None of them were staged. All were candid. All were taken from a distance. She sat on the bed, heart pounding. Who was Thomas Hale? The next morning, she explored the cottage. In the study, she found a box labeled Claire. Inside, letters. Dozens of them. All addressed to her. None sent. You were born in silence. Raised in shadows. But you were never forgotten. I watched you grow. I watched you laugh. I watched you live. I loved you. I always did. Claire read them all. Then she cried. She called the lawyer again. I need answers, she said. He hesitated. Mr. Hale requested privacy. But there's someone you should speak to. He gave her a name, Evelyn Marsh. She lived in town. Retired psychologist. Former colleague of Thomas Hale. Claire drove there immediately. Evelyn was waiting on the porch, a cup of tea in her hand. She looked old, but sharp. Her eyes were clear. Her voice was steady. You look like her, she said. Who? Claire asked. Your mother. Claire sat down. You knew her? Evelyn nodded. We all did. She was part of the project. Claire frowned. What project? Evelyn looked away. It was called Echo. Claire froze. I've heard that name, she said. In the letters. Evelyn sighed. It was a study. memory, attachment, identity. Your mother was a subject. So was Thomas. Claire's voice cracked. Was he my father? Evelyn nodded. Biologically, yes. Emotionally, he tried. Claire felt the world tilt. My mother never told me. She was afraid, Evelyn said. Of what you might remember. Claire whispered, what did I forget? Evelyn stood. Come inside. The house was warm, cluttered with books and photographs. Evelyn led Claire to a back room. On the wall, a timeline. Names. Dates. Faces. Claire's face appeared at the center. You were born during the final phase, Evelyn said. They wanted to test inherited memory. See if trauma could pass through blood. Claire stared at the wall. Did it? Evelyn nodded. You used to draw things you'd never seen. Say names you'd never heard. Claire sat down. And Thomas? He was a researcher. But he fell in love with your mother. Broke protocol. Tried to protect you. Claire's voice was barely audible. Why didn't he come forward? He was silenced, Evelyn said. But he watched. Always. Claire returned to the cottage that night. She sat by the fireplace, reading the letters again. One stood out. I saw you at the park. You were laughing. I wanted to speak. But your mother turned away. Another. You looked for me once. At the museum. I was there. I smiled. You didn't see. Claire felt her chest tighten. She had felt those moments. The sense of being watched. The flicker of recognition. The shadow that never spoke. She hadn't imagined it. She had remembered. Claire didn't drive home right away. She sat in her car outside Evelyn Marsh's house, staring at the ocean. The waves were calm, but her thoughts weren't. She had a father. She had a history. And none of it matched the life she'd been told. She dialed her mother again. This time, she answered. I need to talk, Claire said. Her mother's voice was quiet. You found him. Claire didn't respond. I told him to stay away, her mother said. I begged him. Why? Claire asked. Because I knew what he'd do. What he'd remember. Claire's voice cracked. He loved me. Her mother was silent. Claire drove to her childhood home that night. The house felt smaller than she remembered. Her mother sat in the kitchen, a cup of tea untouched in front of her. You lied to me, Claire said. Her mother nodded. I did. Why? She looked up. Because I was afraid. Of what you might become. Claire sat down. What was Echo? Her mother sighed. It was a study. They wanted to see if trauma could be passed down. If memory could be inherited. And Thomas? He was one of the researchers. But he fell in love with me. I was a subject. He wasn't supposed to care. Claire whispered, but he did. Her mother nodded. Too much. Claire leaned forward. Was I part of it? Her mother hesitated. You were born during the final phase. They watched you. Me. Us. Claire felt her stomach turn. And you let them. I didn't know, her mother said. Not at first. But when I found out, I ran. I changed your name. I moved us here. Claire stood. And you never told me. I wanted you to have a normal life. Claire laughed bitterly. I don't even know what that means anymore. She left without saying goodbye. Back at the cottage, she found a new envelope on the porch. No stamp. No name. Just her initials. Inside, a cassette tape. She dug through the study until she found a player. The tape clicked. Then hissed. Then played. Thomas's voice. Claire, if you're hearing this, I'm gone. But I need you to know, I never stopped watching. Not to control. Not to interfere. Just to protect. You were born into a lie. But you are not a lie. You are the truth they tried to bury. Claire sat frozen. Your mother loved you. But she was afraid. Echo was never just a study. It was a blueprint. They wanted to build minds. Shape memory. Control identity. You were the first child born with full imprinting. You remembered things you never lived. You drew places you'd never seen. They called you dangerous. I called you mine. The tape clicked off. Claire didn't cry. She didn't speak. She just sat there, holding the recorder, listening to the silence. The next morning, she returned to Evelyn. I need everything, she said. Files. Records. Names. Evelyn nodded. I kept copies. In case someone came looking. They spent hours in the study. Claire read reports, transcripts, diagrams. She saw her own name listed under Subject C01. She saw drawings she'd made at age 4, spirals, eyes, doors. They say I was remembering someone else's life, Claire whispered. Evelyn nodded. Or many lives. Claire leaned back. What happened to the others? Some forgot, Evelyn said. Some didn't survive. Claire felt her chest tighten. And me? You were protected. By Thomas. By your mother. By distance. Claire stood. I need to find them. Evelyn hesitated. Why? Because I'm not the only one. Claire spent the next week in the cottage, surrounded by files, maps, and names. Evelyn had kept everything, documents from the original Echo study, transcripts of interviews, even surveillance logs. Claire's name appeared again and again, always linked to symbols, the spiral, the eye, the door. She began reaching out. Most numbers were disconnected. Some addresses were abandoned. But one email worked. The reply came quickly. I remember you. We were in the same phase. I'm in Vermont. Come. The sender signed only SJ. Claire drove north the next morning. The address led to a small farmhouse tucked between hills. A woman answered the door. Mid-30s. Pale. Tired eyes. You're Claire, she said. Claire nodded. You're Jay. Julia, she said. Come in. Inside, the house was quiet. Sparse. On the walls, drawings. Spirals. Eyes. Doors. Claire stared. You still see them? Julia nodded. Every night. They sat at the kitchen table. Julia poured tea, her hands trembling. I used to think I was crazy, she said. Then I found Evelyn. She told me the truth. Claire leaned in. What do you remember? Julia looked away. Rooms. Lights. Voices. They told me I was special. That I could see things no one else could. Claire whispered, "Did you?" Julia nodded. "I saw you." Claire froze. "When?" "In the lab. You were drawing." "I was watching." Claire's voice cracked. "I don't remember." Julia smiled sadly. "That's the point." They talked for hours. Julia showed Claire her journals, pages filled with symbols, memories, fragments. One entry stood out. C01 drew the door again. She said it was open. I asked what was behind it. She said, "Me." Claire felt her chest tighten. She returned to the cottage with copies of Julia's drawings. She pinned them to the wall beside her own. The patterns matched. The symbols aligned. She wasn't alone. She contacted Maya Chan. "I need to publish," Claire said. Maya listened carefully. "Are you ready?" Claire hesitated. "I don't know. But the world needs to be." Maya agreed to help. They began compiling the story: Claire's discovery, Evelyn's files, Julia's testimony. They called it the hidden relationship, memory, identity, and the echo children. But something shifted. Claire noticed her phone acting strangely. Emails disappearing. Cameras blinking. One night, she found a note on her windshield. "Stop digging." She showed it to Evelyn. "They're watching," Evelyn said. "They always were." Claire didn't stop. She contacted another name from the files, Marcus. He lived in Pennsylvania. Former echo technician. He agreed to meet. They met in a diner off the highway. Marcus looked nervous, eyes darting. "You shouldn't be here," he said. Claire sat down. "I need answers." Marcus sighed. Echo was shut down. But the data wasn't. It was sold. Repackaged. Used. By who? He hesitated. A company called Virion. Private. Quiet. They're building something new. Claire leaned in. "What?" "Behavioral mapping," he said. "They think they can predict choices. Shape decisions. All based on inherited memory." Claire whispered, "They're still using children?" Marcus nodded. "But smarter. Cleaner. Legal." She felt sick. Back at the cottage, she told Maya. Maya dug into Virion. Shell companies. Research grants. Government contracts. "Their echo," she said. Rebranded. Refunded. Restarted. Claire stared at the wall of drawings. "They think we're data," she said. "But we're stories." Maya published the first article, "The Hidden Relationship, What Echo Left Behind." It was cautious, detailed, powerful. It named Virion. It quoted Evelyn. It included Claire's drawings. The response was immediate. Emails. Messages. Survivors. One stood out. "I was C04. I remember the door. I remember you." Claire replied. "I remember too." Claire transformed the cottage into a command center. The walls were covered in drawings, maps, timelines. Survivors sent sketches, journal entries, voice recordings. Some were cryptic. Others were raw. All of them echoed the same symbols: the spiral, the eye, the door. She created a digital archive. Maya helped organize it. Evelyn verified the patterns. Julia moderated the forum. Within weeks, Dozens of echo subjects had come forward. One message stood out. I remember the chair. The voice. The light. I remember her, C01. She drew the door. Claire stared at the screen. They remember me. Maya nodded. You were the center. The prototype. Claire whispered, then I need to speak. They organized a virtual summit. Survivors, researchers, journalists. Claire opened the event with a simple statement. I was born into a study. Raised in a lie. But I remember. And I'm not alone. She shared her drawings. Her letters. Her memories. She spoke of Thomas Hale. Of Evelyn. Of Julia. Of Virian. The chat exploded. Messages poured in. Support. Anger. Recognition. But also warnings. One message read. They're watching. They're listening. Be careful. Claire didn't flinch. She contacted Marcus again. I need access, she said. He hesitated. To what? To their files. He agreed. Reluctantly. They met in a parking garage. He handed her a flash drive. This is everything I could get, he said. But if they trace it. Claire nodded. I'll take the risk. Back at the cottage, she opened the drive. Reports. Videos. Psychological profiles. One file was labeled C01, Behavioral Forecast. She clicked it. The screen filled with graphs, predictions, simulations. Subject likely to pursue exposure. Subject likely to form survivor network. Subject likely to destabilize containment. Claire felt her stomach turn. They had predicted her. She called Maya. We need to publish, she said. Maya agreed. They prepared the second exposé, The Hidden Relationship, Forecasting Identity. It revealed Virian's predictive modeling, their use of echo data, their psychological simulations. The article went live. The backlash was immediate. Virian denied everything. Claimed the files were fabricated. Threatened legal action. But the survivors rallied. Claire received hundreds of messages. One read. I thought I was broken. But I was just buried. You helped me dig. She printed it. Framed it. Hung it beside Thomas's photograph. One night, she found a package on the porch. No return address. Inside, a sketchbook. Every page was filled with drawings. Spirals. Ice. Dolls. And one final image. A girl standing in front of a mirror. In the reflection, a woman. Strong. Steady. Smiling. Claire stared at it. Then she added her own sketch, 2 hands reaching across the glass. She gave it to Evelyn. I think I'm ready, she said. Evelyn nodded. To speak. To remember, Claire replied. Claire returned to her childhood home with a folder full of evidence and a heart full of questions. Her mother opened the door slowly, as if she'd been expecting her. I need to know everything, Claire said. Her mother stepped aside. Then come in. They sat in the living room, the same place where Claire had once played with dolls and drawn spirals on the carpet. Her mother looked older now, tired, worn, but no longer hiding. I love him, she said. Thomas. But I was afraid of what he saw in you. Claire didn't speak. He said you were special. That you remembered things you couldn't have known. I thought he was projecting. But then you started drawing the door. Claire whispered, I saw it in my dreams. Her mother nodded. So did I. They sat in silence. I didn't want you to be part of it, her mother said. But I didn't know how to stop it. So I ran. Claire opened the folder. They're still using the data. Virion. They're building models. Forecasts. Her mother looked down. I thought it was over. Claire shook her head. It's just quieter. She showed her the sketchbook, the one left on the porch. Her mother flipped through the pages, her fingers trembling. I remember this one, she said. You drew it when you were 5. I asked what it was. You said, it's where I go when I sleep. Claire leaned in. I think it's real. Her mother looked up. What do you mean? I think it's a memory. Not mine. Not yours. But someone's. Passed down. Imprinted. Her mother whispered, then what do we do? Claire stood. We tell the truth. She returned to the cottage and began writing. Not an article. Not a report. A story. Her story. Thomas's story. Her mother's story. The story of Echo. She called it the hidden relationship. Maya read the first draft and cried. It's not just powerful, she said. It's necessary. They published it as a serialized memoir. Each entry revealed a new layer, childhood memories, Thomas's letters, Evelyn's files, Julia's drawings. The final entry was titled The Door. It described the dream. I stand in a hallway lined with doors. Each one has a symbol. A spiral. An eye. A key. I open the door with the eye. Inside, I see myself. But older. Stronger. She smiles. She says, you remembered. The story went viral. Readers shared their own dreams. Survivors came forward. Therapists used the story in trauma workshops. Schools added it to curriculum. The cottage became a pilgrimage site. One day, Claire received a letter. I was C07. I never spoke. But I read your story. And now I draw. Inside, a sketch. It showed 2 figures standing in front of a door. One held a key. The other held a mirror. Claire framed it. She hung it beside her final drawing, a girl walking through the door into light. Autumn arrived at the cottage in a hush of gold and grey. The trees along the cliffside turned amber, their leaves drifting down like slow confessions. Claire stood on the porch, sketchbook in hand, watching the sea churn below. The wind carried the scent of salt and pine, and something else, something older. She had finished the memoir. The Hidden Relationship was now a published collection, available in print and online. It had been read by thousands. Translated into 5 languages. Used in classrooms. Quoted in courtrooms. It had become more than a story, it had become a reckoning. Claire didn't feel like a symbol. She felt like a person. A daughter. A survivor. A witness. She still dreamed of the hallway with the doors. But now, when she opened one, she didn't see fear. She saw faces. Julia. Evelyn. Marcus. Her mother. Thomas. And herself. One morning, a letter arrived. Handwritten. No return address. I was C09. I never spoke. But I saw you once. You were drawing the door. I was afraid to open mine. But after reading your story, I did. Thank you. Inside the envelope, a photograph. It showed a child's hand reaching toward a mirror. In the reflection, the same hand, older, steadier, holding a pencil. Claire framed it. She hung it beside her final drawing, a girl walking through the door into light. The cottage had changed. The study was now a gallery. Survivors sent their art, their letters, their memories. Visitors came quietly, respectfully. Some left notes. Others left drawings. One child left a spiral made of seashells on the porch. Claire kept it. She spoke at a conference in Boston. Her voice was calm, clear. I was born into a lie. But I chose to live in truth. I was shaped by silence. But I speak now. And I listen. Afterward, a woman approached her. Late 20s. Nervous. I think I was part of it, she said. I don't remember much. But I draw the same door. Claire took her hand. Then you're not alone. They walked together through the exhibit. The woman stopped at a sketch, Claire's first one, drawn at age 5. A spiral. An eye. A door. I've seen this, she whispered. Claire nodded. So have I. That night, Claire returned to the cottage and lit a fire. She sat by the hearth, sketchbook open, pencil in hand. She didn't know what she would draw. She just let her hand move. Lines formed. Curves. Shadows. Light. When she looked down, she saw a new image. A tree, its roots deep and tangled. Its branches reaching skyward. In the trunk, a door. In the leaves, eyes. In the roots, spirals. She smiled. The next morning, she mailed it to Maya. For the next story, she wrote. Whatever it becomes. She stepped outside, the wind brushing her hair back. The sea was calm. The sky was pale. The world was quiet. She closed her eyes. And remembered. Not just the pain. Not just the silence. But the love. The watching. The waiting. The man who never stopped believing she would find her way. She whispered his name. Thomas. And for the first time, it didn't hurt. It healed. She turned back toward the cottage, the door still open behind her. And walked inside.